Welcome to a Tilden-Coil project. We're excited about this partnership with you. We're all professionals performing highly skilled and highly demanding work. We have come together to build an amazing structure that will be cherished by many for generations to come. Since 1938, Tilden-Coil has built some spectacular structures, and it's through our cooperative team effort that we are successful together. At Tilden-Coil, we're committed to safe production, meaning safety and productivity working together to efficiently and effectively achieve success. This is a team effort to safely complete this project, and we must all take ownership for the safety of ourselves and others. Do not accept low standards and risk-taking behaviors. You are empowered to make decisions regarding safe work. If you see an unsafe condition, safety hazard, or you create one, it's your responsibility to correct the hazard or notify your foreman or supervisor of the hazard so that it can be corrected. It's vital that if you see something unsafe, say something so it can be fixed. Remember, see it, say it, fix it. When it's all said and done, we want each of you to go home at the end of each day as healthy and safe as when you arrived. The purpose of this video is to provide you with the key components of our site safety program and policies, along with the expectations and requirements for working on our project. This will help to ensure we are all in alignment with our safety expectations and accountability. If you are not clear on any component of the Tilden-Coil safety program or your requirements while on site, speak to your supervisor or a Tilden-Coil project team member. If Tilden-Coil policies differ from that of your company or our client, you must always work in accordance with the higher safety standard. A job hazard analysis, or JHA for short, is an administrative tool used to identify the work activities that you will be performing for the day, the hazards that are associated with those work activities, and what control measures you will take to either eliminate or control the risks to ensure safe production. A daily pre-shift meeting will be conducted by your foreman daily before you begin work to review the JHA and discuss any safety issues or hazards that may be encountered for the day. Contractors are also required to conduct a weekly toolbox talk. We are all responsible for our own safety and the safety of those around us. Report all unsafe conditions. If you observe any potential hazardous conditions or unsafe behavior, we expect you to report it to your foreman, supervisor, or Tilden-Coil team member so it can be corrected. See it, say it, fix it. You have the authority to stop any work activity if you believe it is unsafe. Every Tilden-Coil project has emergency response procedures. It's your responsibility to know what they are. Be aware of the location of fire extinguishers, exits, and the rally point. In the event that there is an emergency on this project, a Tilden-Coil team member will blast a horn 3 times. When you hear the horn, safely stop your work activity and make your way to the designated rally point for a head count. No matter how minor or seemingly insignificant it may seem, if there is an injury, first aid case, near miss, property damage, or environmental incident, report it immediately to your foreman and Tilden-Coil team member. Housekeeping is everyone's responsibility. If you see a housekeeping issue, address it right away. Store your material in designated areas out of the access and egress pathways. Ensure walking and working spaces are well organized at all times. Your material must be on pallets, carts, or racks and are easily movable. Nothing hits the floor. Each worker must have a cart with necessary tools for daily cleanup, such as a broom and clean sweep. All debris should be immediately placed in trash bins. All areas must be left broom clean or in a condition satisfactory to the Tilden-Coil superintendent at the end of the day. Every week, or at Tilden-Coil's request, each contractor will provide personnel to participate in composite cleanup of all general debris and broom sweeping for a full work shift or until complete. This is in addition to normal daily cleaning. Radios, headphones, and/or earbuds are not permitted to be used while on site. Smoking and/or tobacco of any kind is not allowed in the building or on the project site. The Tilden-Coil superintendent will inform you of the designated area. Eating is allowed only in predetermined and designated areas. Again, the Tilden-Coil superintendent will provide you with more information. While on any Tilden-Coil project, it is required and expected that you wear, at a minimum, the following PPE 100% of the time: hard hat, Class 2 high visibility retroreflective vest or shirt, work boots, and safety glasses. If you wear prescription glasses, they must meet the ANSI standards for safety glasses. Otherwise, you will be required to wear over the glasses safety glasses. Additional PPE may be required based upon your work activity, such as gloves when material handling, working with sharp material, or wet concrete, earplugs when exposed to loud noises, such as when using a jackhammer, chipping gun, or chop saw, respiratory protection when your work activity creates silica dust, such as from grinding, chipping, bushing, or concrete cutting, face protection when grinding, chipping, welding, or using a chop saw. For foot protection, metatarsal guards are required when using a tamper. Talk to your foreman or supervisor to evaluate your work activity to identify the appropriate PPE. If you will be handling any hazardous material or chemicals, you must know the hazards associated with it and what personal protective equipment you must wear. If you are uncertain, contact your foreman and review the warning label and safety data sheet. If you will be performing any silica-related work, such as cutting, coring, chipping, drilling, grinding, profiling, or sanding, there are a few things that must be done first. You must identify your competent person for silica. You will need training on this program to ensure you are aware of the hazards associated with respirable silica dust, what engineering control measures you must take, and what PPE must be worn. A copy of this training will need to be submitted to Tilden-Coil for our records. A written silica dust control plan must be submitted to Tilden-Coil before you begin. The plan should include task-specific controls that comply with Cal OSHA Table 1, or you should document what appropriate protection will be provided for alternative controls. You must use proper engineering controls, such as an integrated water delivery system that supplies water directly to the surface, or a commercially available shroud or cowling with HEPA filter dust collection system. And, depending upon the type of work, location, and duration, you may also need an N95 particulate mask or respirator. Any dust containing silica must be properly cleaned up and disposed of. It must be either wet swept using an appropriate sweeping compound, or vacuumed with an approved HEPA vacuum. Dry sweeping and blowing are not permitted. Contact your foreman for training, review of your company's silica dust control plan, or to evaluate your work activities to ensure you have the proper engineering controls and PPE. If you will be installing or are exposed to protruding impalement hazards such as rebar, metal form stakes, electrical EMT, or other similar projections that extend up to 6 feet in height, it must be protected against impalement with the use of Cal OSHA approved protective covers or troughs. If you see a protective cover has fallen off, please replace it. With this one little act, you could prevent someone from getting injured. Inspect your ladders prior to use for damage. Any ladder that is damaged must be removed from the project site and labeled as damaged or defective. Extension ladders and straight ladders must be extended at least 3 feet above the landing and tied off at the top. When using a step ladder, you must ensure it is fully open. Do not stand on the top 2 rungs, straddle, or sit on the top cap. If you will be performing any activity that generates heat, flames, arcs, sparks, or other sources of ignition, such as grinding, cutting, welding, burning, brazing, or soldering, then you must complete a hot work permit. Each person performing hot work must have their own hot work permit and a fire extinguisher. Hot work permits are located in the Tilden-Coil trailer. Thoroughly evaluate your work area and either remove or protect any combustible or flammable material within 35 feet of where you will be working. Fully complete the hot work permit and attach it to the fire extinguisher that you will be using. If you will be performing work from a scissor lift or boom lift, you will need a fire extinguisher in the basket as well as one at ground level below you. Before any trenching, excavation, drilling, or earth moving activity, each contractor must contact Diggler. The foreman must review all as-built drawings and underground utility surveys, and physically walk the project site to identify existing indicators of underground utilities. The foreman will also need to identify other hazards, such as overhead power lines or surface encumbrances, such as light poles, trees, or retaining walls. Your company's competent person must always be on site during any trench, excavation, or drilling activity. It's imperative that you pothole to identify the location of known underground utilities. This must be done by hand digging, hydro excavating, or air vac to the point of no conflict 24 inches on either side of the underground utility. This helps to ensure you know the exact location prior to using powered equipment. Trenches and excavations must be inspected daily and as needed throughout the work shift. If conditions are hazardous, the work activity will be stopped until the necessary corrections are made. Any trench or excavation 4 feet or deeper must have a means of access and egress, such as an extension ladder, and must be within 25 feet. All trench or excavations 5 feet or deeper must have proper protection for workers, such as benching, sloping, or shoring prior to entry. Spoils piles and other material must be kept back at least 2 feet from the edge at all times. Appropriate barricades such as danger tape, snow fencing, or trench plates must be used to protect unauthorized personnel from falling into the trench or excavation. It's important that you inspect your extension cords before use. Extension cords must be 3-wire grounded cords rated for hard or extra hard surfaces and at least 12 gauge in size. If a cord is damaged, such as with the strain relief or outer insulation, do not use it. Remove it from service and label as defective or damaged. All cords must be plugged into GFCI protected receptacles. If the receptacle is not GFCI, you may need to utilize a GFCI pigtail or other form of GFCI protection. You must also protect cords from sharp edges and rollover from equipment. Temporary lighting is located in the main walkways, corridors, and stairways. Do not relocate any temp lighting into a room for your use. You are responsible for your own task lighting. If you will be using a powder actuated tool, it's critical that you inspect it on a daily basis prior to use and replace any worn or damaged components. Ensure that you place appropriate signage in the areas you are using a powder actuated tool. When using powder actuated tools overhead, you must also wear a face shield in conjunction with your safety glasses. And remember to properly dispose of your spent shots. 100% fall protection is required when working at 6 feet or higher. This could be guardrails, hole covers, or personal fall arrest systems. You must be trained in all aspects of fall protection. Your company's written fall protection plan must be submitted to Tilden-Coil for review. Your fall protection equipment must be inspected by a competent person before each use. Any floor opening 2 inches or greater in diameter must be protected. If you are using a hole cover, it must be capable of supporting 2 times the anticipated load and be clearly labeled hole or cover in high visibility orange paint. If you do not know what fall protection system or device to use, contact your foreman immediately. Anyone erecting, dismantling, or inspecting scaffolds must submit proof of training. Prior to using a scaffold, your company competent person must inspect the scaffold system to ensure that it is safe for your use and document it by signing the green tag at each access location. It is your responsibility to confirm that the scaffold has been inspected and the green tag has been signed off for the day by your competent person. If it has not, then do not access the scaffold system and contact your foreman. Scaffolds 6 feet or higher must have a top rail and mid rail. Toe boards are required at all access and egress locations. Mobile scaffolds must have all 4 wheels locked when in use. Boom lifts and scissor lifts can only be operated by properly trained and authorized personnel. You must inspect the lift each day and document your inspection. Keep a copy of your inspection with the lift. When operating a boom lift, you must wear a full body harness and tie off to an appropriate anchor point. This may also apply in a scissor lift if the manufacturer, owner, or OSIP safety program requires. There is no standing, sitting, or climbing on the mid-rail or top rails of the lift, or utilizing other devices inside the lift to gain greater height. When working at heights in a boom lift, be sure to barricade the area below to prevent other workers from walking or working underneath you. If you are operating a forklift, you must have with you a current forklift certification. The operator must be able to read and understand a forklift load chart and demonstrate their knowledge. If the operator is unable to do so, they cannot operate the forklift. There is no free rigging of the tines on a forklift. You must utilize a manufactured boom attachment, below the forks hook system, or other appropriate system. If you are uncertain, please contact your foreman. All equipment maintenance and fueling shall occur in a designated area only. Tilden-Coil Superintendent will provide you with the specifics for this project. Only proper metal fuel cans are permitted on this project. No plastic fuel cans are permitted on site, not even in the bed of your truck. You are responsible for containment and cleanup of any fuel, oil, hydraulic fluids, and chemical spills. All equipment must have at least a current 2A 10BC fire extinguisher. It's essential that you wear your seatbelt each time you operate any piece of equipment. and your backup alarm must be heard from a distance of at least 200 feet. A lift plan must be developed and submitted to Tilden-Coil for review at least 72 hours prior to any crane pick. A copy of the crane's current annual and quadrennial inspection certification and crane operator certification must also be submitted to Tilden-Coil. When setting up the crane, all outriggers must be fully extended and deployed. Plates, pads, or mats must be used under each outrigger with no air gaps and be of substantial material and size to support the crane. All cranes must be inspected daily before use. The swing radius and the counterweight must be properly barricaded. A qualified rigger must be used for all hoisting operations. Whenever workers are located within the fall zone, riggers or flagmen must notify others when a load is flown overhead. Taglines must be used to control all loads. Any space that is large enough for you to bodily enter, has limited means of access and egress, and is not designed for continuous human occupancy is considered a confined space, such as vaults, elevator pits, manholes, attics, and crawl spaces. You must be trained in all aspects of confined space, and documentation must be submitted to Tilden-Coil. All confined spaces are considered permit-required confined spaces until proven otherwise, and must be evaluated for atmospheric hazards by utilizing a 4-gas air monitor. A competent person must determine if the space is to remain a permit-required confined space, or if it can be reclassified as a non-permit required confined space. Your company must also submit a written confined space program to Tilden-Coil. If the space is considered permit-required confined space, the foreman will complete the permit and submit to Tilden-Coil for review. We are committed to doing our part to keep you safe on our Tilden-Coil project. Failure to respect these safety requirements is a serious safety violation and subject to strict disciplinary action. Tilden-Coil is committed to a culture of safe production on our sites, so that all workers are able to return home at the end of the day healthy and safe. While this orientation provided training around many safety topics, the single clear message is that we must all take responsibility for safety and are held accountable for our actions. This requires partnership and commitment on all our parts, working safely, efficiently, and effectively together every moment of every day. We ask that you work safe, speak up to any unsafe concerns, and take action to correct it. Remember, see it, say it, fix it. Thank you.